As usual, it's an honor to be here and to be in your association. I'm so happy. Today, we're continuing the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1, Verse 3. I think verse 1 was done by Vasudev Prabhu, and then we missed verse 2, and then yesterday was a special Bhagavatam class, a special class.
You wanna read verse 2?
I will read verse 2. Am I
great.
sharing the screen, Prabhu?
Not right now.
Okay, that's fine. I will read verse 2 so we can catch up. Sorry, technical difficulties. 10:42. The atrocities of King Kamsa. So verse 2. Thereafter, all the watchmen very quickly approached King Kamsa, the ruler of the Bhoja dynasty, and submitted the news of the birth of Devaki's child, Kamsa, who had awaited this news very anxiously, immediately took action. Okay, this is a very exciting story, so let's dive right in. Let's see, I have a chat here, just going to keep an eye on it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dirayet Nashta Praye Sabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay, and so I will shamelessly beg all the prayers and blessings from the Vaishnavas, because I cannot do anything without the Vaishnavas. And it's actually a great source of relief if I get blessings and I can ask for them. That means there's a relief and a solution to everything. So 10:4-3 is today's verse. Satalpatu namutaya kaloyamiti vivalaha sutigriham agaturnam praskalan muktamurtajaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Kamsa immediately got up from bed thinking, "Here is Kala, the supreme time factor, which has taken birth to kill me." Thus overwhelmed, Kamsa, his hair scattered on his head, at once approached the place where the child had been born. Purport. The word Kalaha is significant. Although the child was born to kill Kamsa, Kamsa thought that this was the proper time to kill the child so that he himself would be saved. Kala is actually another name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he appears only for the purpose of killing. When Arjuna inquired from Krishna in his universal form, "Who are you?" the Lord presented himself as Kala, death personified to kill. By nature's law, when there is an unwanted increase in population, Kala appears, and by some arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, people are killed wholesale in different ways, by war, pestilence, famine, and so on. At that time, even atheistic political leaders go to a church, mosque, or temple for protection by God or gods and submissively say, "God willing." Before that, they pay no attention to God, not caring to know God or His will. But when Kala appears, they say, "God willing." Death is but another feature of the Supreme Kala. Death is but another feature of the Supreme Kala, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the time of death, the atheist must submit to this Supreme Kala, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead takes away all his possessions. Mrityuhu sarvaharashchaham, and forces him to accept another body. Tata dehantara praptihi. This the atheists do not know, and if they do know, they neglect it so that they may go on with their normal life. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to teach them that although for a few years one may act as a great protector or great watchman, with the appearance of Kala, death, one must take another body by the laws of nature. Not knowing this, they unnecessarily waste their time in their occupation as watchdogs and do not try to get the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is clearly said, aprapya mam nivartate mrityu samsara vartmani. Without Krishna consciousness, one is condemned to continue wandering in birth and death, not knowing what will happen in one's next birth. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let's let some people in here. 1 second.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that, Lila.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I just saw them on here.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Relief. Andrea's here. I feel so much relief when I see your loving faces. As soon as I saw Adi, I was like, oh, everything's okay. And Andrea's here. Everything's okay. Okay. So read this verse up from bed thinking, here is Kala, the supreme time factor, which has taken birth to kill me. Thus overwhelmed Kamsa, his hair scattered on his head, at once approached the place where the child had been born. So Kamsa is afraid of dying, and he goes to these extremes to try to prevent. He's trying to prevent his death, but we don't stop dying by trying to kill that which is bringing us death. He can't kill time, and he hasn't realized yet. He actually, the 2 verses prior are about his associates, his people telling him that this child has been born, and so he's getting the news. So technically he doesn't have good association like we do. He has association that's leading him down this path. And so what is the supreme time factor? What does this mean? So Krishna gives many different of himself as time in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 10th chapter, he says, Kalaha kalayatam aham, among subduers I am time. Srila Prabhupada describes this in the purport. He says, there are many subduing principles, but time wears down all things in the material universe and so represents Krishna. And then a few verses later in 1033, Krishna says, Aham evaksha shayaha kalo. I am also inexhaustible time. And Srila Prabhupada says, among all kinds of killers, time is the ultimate because time kills everything. Time is the representative of Krishna because in due course of time, there will be a great fire and everything will be annihilated. And so this is referring to the cyclic time where there's creation, maintenance, and destruction. And in the next chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Kalosmi lokakshaya krit pravriddho. Loka samahartum iha pravrittaha. Time I am the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. So it sounds very dire, but I promise you there are good news. So how does time affect us? It facilitates the miseries of the material world, known as birth, old age, disease, and death. And so these are the things that we know that no matter what our differences are, this is something that we have in common. We all suffer from these from the effects of these things, old age, disease, and death, and then it starts again. So being in this cycle that is driven by time is what is what our suffering is. It's uncomfortable. And so we may have these little tiny pockets of happiness, of joy, but again, time will change that. And then we are in discomfort again, we're in suffering. And then another thing will happen and another thing will go wrong. And there is no comfort in this.
Hare Krishna, everyone. It looks like we dropped Lila for a second. I'll try to get her back. 1 second, please.
Okay, maybe we should share something.
I mean, we didn't get
Would anyone like
bhajan,
to
so
share
maybe
anything
Adi
in
Purusha can do
regards to
bhajan.
how it's not possible to
Here we sang, but we couldn't get in. We couldn't get in.
We did not see you in the waiting room.
It was blocked. We couldn't do anything. We were here trying. Then we just sang with it, offered to Prabhupada. So, this interesting thing that's going on now in the news about the children being killed in the classroom. Every pundit, every legislator, every newscaster, every, administrative body is talking about it. And it's interesting. Prabhupada says, with all their speculation, with all their good intentions, they don't really understand the problem, and therefore they can't really offer a solution. It's a misdirected civilization. They're actually blind. And not only that, for most part, they're so bewildered by their distress that many people are not willing to hear what is the actual problem. Well, remember a class given by Shishek Prabhu about, you ever see that Oil Can Harry and Dudley Do-Right, the cartoon? So there's little Nell is tied to the railroad tracks, and the train is coming, and the evil villain with his mustache, he's tied this girl to the railroad tracks, and the train is coming, right? So Dudley Do-Right is like the hero, and he comes there, I will save the day, and he comes there, and suppose Dudley Do-Right unties the girl from the railroad tracks and moves her like 10 feet down the road and ties her back on again, That's what these solutions they're thinking. The children are dying, and guns, naturally there should be gun legislation. That's common sense. We're not arguing against that. But every single child, every man, woman, and child in this country is under a death sentence. They're all tied to the railroad tracks. And it's not going to help just to move it down the tracks. Death is coming for every single one of them in one form or another. And the solution is to get off the railroad tracks, to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Our death is caused by our birth. Two sides of the same coin. Every birth has a death. Every single birth. Yeah. Oh, somebody.
And now give us some hope.
So there's a solution. There's a Kirtana Deva Krishna Sya Mukta Sangha Parang Bhajad. It says, the material world is an ocean of faults. There's so many problems. There's one solution. Take to the chanting of the holy name. Engage in God's service. And surrender to Krishna. When you have $1 million, all your $10 problems are solved. But without that, no matter how many laws you pass, you can't pass a law against greed, you can't pass a law against death, you can't pass a law against old age, you can't pass a law against, lust, anger. These things are concomitant with a person who is neglected to dedicate themselves to Krishna's service. And without that, everything else you do is just simply tying somebody on the railroad tracks further down the road. And we're concerned for the people that are dying. And they're chanting. And even I was talking to one devotee yesterday, and he was chanting, "The United States is the only place where this happens. It's only," that's what the politicians are saying. It's not the United States. Oh, she's back. I can hear somebody.
Hey,
Lila Devi's back.
I'm
Lila,
here. Where did I leave off? My apologies. I don't know how I got kicked off.
you were saying how there is no escape from death, right? From calamities, something like that.
Okay,
Doesn't-
did the was I able to make the point about the banyan tree? And
No.
Okay.
But see, we had a technical difficulty, but we saw
Mhm.
Krishna in the technical difficulty.
Oh,
Like,
great.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it. So that was
Mhm.
the good purpose of the technical difficulty. Okay, okay, what about the poking, being poked by someone trying to get your attention? Okay, so I'll make this point very quickly because it's an important one. So we have discomfort where time is bringing us things that are uncomfortable. So death, old age, disease. And so another perspective other than being flip-flopped back and forth between joy and distress and the time. So I think the point that I made was that time can be a positive thing, as if we're enjoying something, then time is great. It's okay. We're happy here. We want time to expand. If we're not enjoying something, then time is just, we want it to go away. We want everything to stop, or it becomes our enemy. And so another perspective of how we can see time is to just ask, what is this trying to tell me? How can I relate to time in a way that I can see what it's pointing to? And there's a constant reminder that time is not slowing down. And this phrase of time stops for no one. And what is this trying to tell me about the world? And so the point that I was making is that it's like being poked by someone who's trying to get your attention, and being poked isn't really the most pleasant thing. If someone's just poking you, and the answer is, what are you trying to tell me? What are you saying to me? And so in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about the banyan tree with roots that are up and leaves that are down, the reflection of a real thing. And so what's on the other side of that? What is the other side of the coin? In reflections, if you look up reflections and how mirrors work, and it talks about how light bounces and it reflects objects, the objects are backwards. They're like opposites. And Srila Prabhupada explains things to us in a sense of a perverted reflection of a thing. And so perverted means having been corrupted or distorted from its original course, meaning, or state. And so time is pointing to eternity, right? Because you have the reflection of something that is real. And so what is you can say, opposite of time? And that's eternity. It's Krishna. And so our discomfort can potentially be pointing in the direction of Krishna and bringing us into awareness of that. And so how can I relate to time in a way that supports my spiritual growth? So in his comprehensive guide to Bhagavad Gita, Hridayananda Maharaj says that time itself drives all things to their destiny, which is Krishna. And Kamsa is being driven to his destiny, which is Krishna, but he's actually really afraid. He's in distress. His hair's all over the place. This is what this verse is telling us. But if Krishna is our destiny, then is it necessary that we need to relate to it in the same way that Kamsa did? It's not necessary, because we know that we can relate to Krishna in a different way. And so while Krishna is telling us time and time again that we are going to have to leave this body, all these things will be destroyed, the time is cyclic and is just going to continue this cycle of creation, maintenance, and destruction. It'll just keep going. And everything will die, everything will be destroyed. At the same time, I'm aware that I'm using the word time over and over. At the same time, he's telling us time and time again that the soul never dies, that we are never going to die, that we are actually eternal. And so this is the reflection of time. It's eternity. We're eternal. Krishna's eternal. There is his abode, which is described in the Bhagavad Gita, is eternal. And so none of those things are factually affected by time. So time is exerting its influence of this cycle of birth and death. And yet we can never be killed, harmed, we can never die, and we can never not exist. So the soul is eternal. And so we can engage with, we have the option. Vasudev spoke about choice when he gave his class a couple of days ago. So we have the choice. Do I engage with that which is going to perish, die, change, is in constant flux, and will ultimately be destroyed and is going to bring me discomfort? Or do I choose to engage with that which never dies? And this is the concept and description of the soul of us, of jivas, as tatashta shakti, marginal energy. There's a lot to be said about that, but basically we're in a position where we can choose whether we engage with one thing or the other. And so that's really good news, because we don't have to take this fearful position in the world that Kamsa is taking, but it requires full consciousness to make that choice. And so what does that look like for us in our bhakti practice? Many years ago, I heard this pastime or this description by a disciple of Radhanath Swami, and it became so special to me. It really changed my perspective about a lot of things. And that was that he said that in 1,000 years, we won't be here. These bodies won't be here. No one will know our names. No one will remember us. However, if we strung one flower on one garland with true love, with true bhakti, with devotion, that act becomes eternal. And this is huge. This is pointing to something. Again, it's pointing to us. So how can we use time to do that? In any moment, we can engage with the world, with all things of this world, right? We just talked about stringing a flower with objects. In a Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us what we can offer: water, food, leaf, flower. We can engage with other devotees, with other people. We can engage with the natural world. And based on how we engage, those moments can actually be eternal. So chanting the holy names. If we chant the holy name, because it's Krishna, if we come and read these sacred words, they're Krishna. And so if we're doing it with full attention, in full devotional service, with full consciousness, and we're so present that we actually touch with our consciousness, we touch Krishna in whatever way he's showing up, then that becomes eternal. And so we can use time as an impetus to bring us closer to Krishna. So impetus is a force that makes something happen or happen more quickly. And so this is actually a positive attribute of time, that we can use it in a way that brings us towards eternity. And so by making each moment eternal, the way that Radhanath Swami just described, and knowing that Krishna is on the other side of that time, that eternity is on the other side of that, and that he is our destiny, with love, as opposed to Kamsa, who's doing it with fear, we transcend time and we fall into the present moment. And then every moment can become joyous. Every moment can become full of love. Every moment just brings us closer to the next moment of joy, of love, of bliss, of our actual nature, our actual position, and our actual relationship with Krishna, which is never ending, which is eternal, will never change. In one of the purports that where Srila Prabhupada talks about this, about time, he talks about, maybe I have it here. Okay, we'll find it in a moment. I'm aware of the time. That's funny. Okay, so in the CC, there's a description of, not a description, but a retelling of one of the verses from the third canto that is related to time. And so Kapila Dev is speaking to his mother, Devahuti, and he says, "My dear mother, Devahuti, O emblem of peace, my weapon, the disc of time, never vanquishes for those whom I am very dear. For whom I am," sorry, let me read that again. "The disc of time never vanquishes those for whom I am very dear, for whom I am the super soul, son, friend, spiritual master, well-wisher, worshipable deity, and desired goal. Since the devotees are always attached to me, they are never vanquished by the agents of time." So here we have the two opposing things happening. On the one hand, we're hearing this purport and we're seeing Kamsa's experience. Yes, time destroys everything, and he's aware time has come to destroy me. It's only a matter of time, and it ultimately is, because Krishna destroys him. On the other hand, and it's because he's relating to Krishna in a specific way. On the other hand, to relate to Krishna in an opposite way brings an opposite reaction. And so time for that person that is relating in that way does not vanquish them. And so in the purport of that verse that was quoted by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, should he be accepted as one's best friend, he will never cheat. He will always give his friendly advice and friendly protection to the devotee. If Krishna is accepted as a son, he will never die. Here we have a very loving son or child, but their father and mother, or those who are affectionate towards him, always hope, may my son never die. But Krishna actually will never die. And he gives us many different ways in which we can relate to him, whether it's the parent-child relationship, the friend relationship, and so it continues. And then towards the end of the purport, he says, but one who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead is promoted to the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no influence of time, destruction, or annihilation. The conclusion is that the time influence cannot act upon devotees who have accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so we'll stop here. Kamsa is afraid. He's afraid of dying, and this is how I started off. And he's going to the extremes to try to prevent that. He's actually in bad association. If he had good association like we do, someone would have told him that if you're drowning in a shallow pond, or it feels like you're drowning, you don't get mad at it and try to kill it, which is what he's trying to do. You just stand up and get out. And so if we feel this discomfort over this cycle of birth and death, which is actually very small compared to the creation, or not even the creation, the everything that is Krishna, just get out. And so, okay, it sounds so easy, but this is what Srila Prabhupada was trying to tell us. Don't worry about this or that. You just try to get out of the burning building. Don't try to figure out who started the fire, or what happened, or what's going on, or how does fire work, and all of these things. And so, yes, it does take time, but it is only a matter of time, because Krishna is our destiny. And the good news, and this is why we come to read these things, is that it doesn't have to take that long, because in one moment, we are with Krishna. And so it doesn't matter if we're here, or we're in that world, or any other world. This is the highest reality, that wherever there is Krishna and we're with Krishna, it doesn't matter. And so, okay, burning building, but Krishna's here. And that's okay for right now. And then we just keep practicing that over and over, over and over, until we get to that moment where we're with Krishna always, and we're no longer in the burning building, you know. So yes, how we relate to time, we have the choice. And on the other side of that is eternity, is Krishna. That's the reflection of this time. There's another verse in the 11th canto that says all of this, past, present, and future, time, is but a dream. And so if it's a dream, then what's actually real? And what's real is full consciousness, full Krishna consciousness. It's the only thing that's real. We're real, he's real, and our relationship with him is real. And then we're very lucky because he gives us all these other ways of engaging that relationship through the Shastra, through Srimad Bhagavatam, through the holy name, through the devotees, through acts of service. And then all of this, we can take all of this, bring our full consciousness into these relationships and make things real. What does it mean to make them real? To make them eternal by adding Krishna, by offering them to Krishna, by remembering Krishna. So thank you, dear friends, for your patience, especially with the technical difficulties. I'm moving through some technical difficulty karma because this happened the last time I gave class as well, but that's okay. I'm in an association and I'm being purified. So we'll take some takeaways, some comments, some corrections. I'm happy to hear from all of you.
Thank you, Lila, Devi. Beautiful class. Beautiful class. So while devotees are getting ready to participate actively, I'm going to share something from Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, how he teaches us to relate to time. So he says, to truly realize how important time is, we must first understand that it is not healthy to think of time as our own. Time is not our own. It is God's time. What does that mean? If something belongs to someone who you really love and care for, or whom you respect, you are more conscious about how you use that. How you use it, than if it belonged to you. Our time belongs to God. He provided it to us, and we are therefore held accountable to the Supreme Lord for how we spend that time. That spiritual warrior, Canto 3, I guess, solace for the heart in difficult times. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says, it's not your time, it's Krishna's time. And Lord Chaitanya told his devotee, it's not your body. Your body belongs to the movement, to Krishna. You have to take good care of it. Right? Just a little addition to all the wonderful things that you said.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Yes, we can't actually waste time because it's not ours to waste. What we can do is take it as an opportunity to engage with Krishna. I really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. That was from Instagram.
Hey. Properly
Right.
dovetailed to bring us Shastra. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Angelica Prabhu, she, I think this may have been when I was telling the Radhanath Swami pastime about the flower. She said, and by this simple act perform a devotion, Krishna will remember us even if the whole creation forgets. Yeah. So just that one thing done, small thing done in full consciousness, with full love, full attention.
Lila Devi, I have a question.
Yes.
So with this, with what just happened in Texas, with all those children that lost their lives, how do we fulfill Srila Prabhupada's order to facilitate spiritual solutions to those kinds of problems, but at the same time avoid being insensitive to the sorrow that the people are going through? How to strike balance in those things?
That's a really good question. So how to strike balance when we see all of this suffering in the world, and and at the same time, so how to bring about the solutions. We know that there is a solution, because it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to engage with each other as humans and with the world as in the way that we do. However, it's in the purport when Srila Prabhupada says that all of these different things, death, pestilence, war, famine, viruses that take out people, large-scale shootings, they're out of our control because it's Krishna. But I don't think that because we understand that, it means that we don't suffer for the sufferings of others. We can have both. We can hold both. We can hold the perspective that we know in our hearts that this is happening by a force that is much, much larger than me. So when Krishna is describing himself as cosmic forces in the Bhagavad Gita, it's time, it's death, it's all of these things. He's saying these things. I am those things. And yet, when our heart is open and we are building this relationship with Krishna, we can't help but feel the suffering of our brothers and sisters, feel the suffering of Mother Earth, and feel compelled to want to do something. And that's an individual question, because we have to take into account our propensities. Sometimes the best thing we can do is increase our own knowledge, our own learning, and then we start to change our own consciousness, and that starts to change the consciousness of our families, of our neighborhoods, of our communities, of our state, of our country. Or someone can just say, I need to do something, and it makes a change by distributing this knowledge at a large scale. And so that depends on each individual person. But I think that the balance, and the answer to your question, is by holding that balance within both of us. So knowing that, yes, this is beyond my control. And then actually that leaves us with a little bit less anxiety and less fear, because I can't do anything about this. At the same time, because I'm free of that anxiety and fear, I can see there's suffering going on. Maybe I can do something about this. What can I do? And every little bit helps, right? Every little bit helps. That one grain of sand, like in the Lila, one little grain of sand at a time, just one rock at a time. It makes a difference, and especially if it's done in full love and full devotion. We do it with love. We do it, Krishna. My brothers, my sisters are suffering. I'm suffering. We're all suffering. We're all just trying to remember you. And we offer what little we can, or however much we can, and we let go of the results, because ultimately it's all Krishna's hands. So I hope that answered your question. And
yeah, beautifully. You're very satisfying. Jamuna Jaya, unmute yourself and unmute Hanumanji.
Hey, Jamuna Jaya.
Honorable Lila, thank you for a beautiful class. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to add on to Nanda Bihari's beautiful question, something I think about a lot, clearly, because of the events. But believe it or not, I think often, I know it's not our text, but something that Patanjali wrote in the Yoga Sutras. And there's this one Yoga Sutra that says, when around one that is fully steeped in peacefulness, all enmity ceases. And whenever I see these events, like have happened whenever I see these things happen, I think that's what I can do. I can be the one person who is peacefulness in my bubble of influence. And perhaps I can influence someone else, and perhaps like bubbles in a pond, it could keep growing. And so whenever yet again, these events happen and it's so frustrating, what can we do? I think of that Yoga Sutra and think I can, like Lord Chaitanya walking through the Janjanaka forest, making the animals not attack him, not attack each other, to dance and to kiss, or like the Buddha holding up his hand and stopping the raging tiger. Maybe we can do that much in our circle of influence, and maybe that can spread. And so, Ananda Bihari, when you're thinking that's a question I always have, and that's one thing I always think about. So I just wanted to see that. Haribol, thank you for beautiful class.
Yay.
Thank you, Jamunaja. I want to be in your bubble. I want to
Yes.
be in yours.
This is my bubble.
Please add us to your bubble. This is a beautiful point. Thank you. You're absolutely right. Sometimes the best way that we can hold space for someone else is to keep our own center, and be that non-anxious presence.
I see Angela's behind Adi. I see Angela's non-anxious presence. No?
It's really cool the way Krishna's doing this. He's provoking Kamsa. He appears, Kamsa comes charging at him, and he steps out of Kamsa's reach. And Mother Earth, she asked Krishna, come and get these demons, please help us, there's a big burden. And so by provoking Kamsa, he goes to Vrindavan, and then Kamsa starts sending these huge demons, Aristasura and Agasura, one by one, Putana, all these demons go there, and Krishna knocks them off one by one. So he, like the bull, when they have the matador with the cape, he's waving the cape, and the bull comes charging, and the bull goes crashing into some wooden platform, it's not real. So Krishna's like, he's taunting Kamsa by his being there and then disappearing, and then he draws all the demons to a place where he can knock them off, and then eventually even Kurukshetra, where he slaughters millions of them. So so how wonderful is Krishna that he knows what he's doing, and he loves us, and therefore he's making a solution to the terrible burden on the earth.
Jai.
How wonderful is
How wonderful is Krishna. And
Yeah.
speaking of Bhagavad Gita, it took Krishna more than just one line. It took him a whole Bhagavad Gita to explain to Arjuna how death is not really, they're already dead, all these kings, first of all, it's your duty as a Kshatriya. So Krishna approached that subject from so many standpoints. And then finally, he brought it very nicely to the point of ultimate surrender unto him. So it may take, to what Lila said about how to deal with sorrow and bring about a spiritual solution. It may take some time. It may take more than just dropping one line and walking away from the person. We wanna bring the person in our bubble. We're in Jamuna Jaya's bubble. And then it's a burden of love. Then Jamuna Jaya will do the work. There will be love, there will be follow-up, there'll be more love, follow-up, philosophy, love, sandwich, service. and then, yeah.
I love sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, this
I
is
I just have
amazing.
one quick takeaway that I wanted to share, if it was okay. One of the big things that I got from your talk, dear Lila Prabhu, my dear friend, is the power of being present to keep us in the eternal with Krishna, and how challenging that can be. Especially I just feel like, how Krishna always sends us the classes that we need in the moment. And I was telling you before class, I'm just like, I'm in just so much pain. I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. And if I'm present with the devotees, with my friends, with the holy name, with Krishna, I can still be in joy and bliss at the same time. And wow, like what a paradox that can be. Like how beautiful that could be. Like you can be in pain and you can be in joy and bliss if you're present and you're in that internality. Like it's just blowing my mind. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea, so much. I'm sending you lots of love.
Yeah, every time Andrea is not there in class, I'm like, oh my God, there's something missing here. Our deity is missing here.
We cry ourselves to sleep at night.
Yes, essential. The devotees are essential, every single one. We have Angelica, association, heart connections. With association and connection, mountains can be moved. Yeah, these relationships that we have with the devotees, there's nothing in all the worlds like it. And so it's a very special. Jai.
Yeah, Bhima Prabhu has a very profound takeaway. He packaged it in one word: sandwich.
Yeah.
It's like Yoga Sutra is very cryptic. So Bhima Sutra, sandwich. And then we can unpack it. It'll take a whole class to unpack. And then he says, service, all you need, and little love. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful sutra. Bhima Prabhu.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that the process is actually very simple and natural to us. Just offer love, offer love, offer love. Yeah.
Okay, so we can take one more burning question or a comment or reflection, or maybe even correction.
Mhm.
Krishna is provoking Kamsa, but he's also provoking us. Hey, look, if people are in need of this that Prabhupada's given us, let's roll up our sleeves. Let's throw ourselves into pushing on Lord Chaitanya's movement. Let's not be casual about it. Let's get some, tapasya. Let's get some dedication and full-hearted endeavor to give Krishna consciousness. So Krishna's calling us. Come on now, let's get on with this fight. We've got lives to save.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says many times in his purports, get serious, be serious. Krishna consciousness movement is there to save the world from irreligion, from irregular condition, and be serious about it, about what Lord Chaitanya brought to us, this gift of coming together, discussing Krishna's glories, chanting the holy name, taking prasadam together, listening to class, asking questions. It's all part of the process. So thank you so much, all of you, for being so serious about this. Thank you very much. Lila Devi Prabhu ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Beautiful. Happy Friday. Thank you, Adipurusha Prabhu, for that point, because this actually, we can save ourselves, or we're actually, the devotees are saving us, but we can save others too from actual death, right? From continuing this like life, death, birth, death. And that's everything. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you for encouraging us in that.
No one is more pleasing to Krishna than one who preaches this message.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all so very much. Have a beautiful weekend. Oh, I see my friend Sundarananda Das. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Haribol, Hare Krishna, Lila. That was a great class. All right, thank you for enlightening us.
Jai.
Sundarananda Prabhu, good seeing you. You look like you've just transcended time.
Prabhu, still the same, still the same. So, Lila, are you sitting in a library there?
At the Bhakti Vedanta Institute, yes. We have a very big library, yes. You're all welcome to come visit when we finish with construction.
Nice.
So, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. My obeisances to all of you.
Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.